So, the chloroplasts, they will also produce ATP, but they will only produce ATP in order to replenish the ATP they require for their Calvin cycle. Calvin cycle is something we won't be discussing in AS level. That's an AA level topic according to the 2016-2018 curriculum. However, they will produce the ATP required for photosynthesis, the light-independent reactions of photosynthesis. Now, the cell wall. The cell wall is a plant-unique structure. It is composed mainly of cellulose, and it provides protection and shape to the cell. Plasmodesmata are microscopic channels in the cell walls of plants that allow communication and transport of materials between plant cells. Large central vacuole is an organelle in the plant. It is a large permanent structure which contains fluid called tonoplast. Tonoplast controls the tone of the cell. Now, this is part of the regulation of turgor pressure, whether or not a plant is turgid or not. So when a plant wilts, it has low turgor pressure. When a plant is rigid, it has high turgor pressure. Now, the large central vacuole will also contain certain other metabolites, including some things like graphite crystals or other irritants that if you try and eat the plant, they will rip you up inside. Yeah, we'll go with that. So this is transmission electron microscope of a plant. Please be familiar, once again, that this is your nucleus. It does not have to be perfectly round either. We still can have a nucleolus-ish type thing over here. We have heterochromatin around here. We can have euchromatin over here. We will have chloroplasts here. These are strands which hold down stacks of granum. So granum is a singular stack. Grana, G-R-A-N-A, are multiple stacks. So that's our chloroplasts. Here we have another mitochondria. Here we have some of our large central vacuole right here. And here is a cell wall. So these are structures of our plant cells. Now, here we have ATP again. I did miss you, ATP. You look like you've been working out. It's been a while. Now, ATP is the energy currency of the cell. It is not energy. I'm going to remind you again, ATP is not energy. And if I remember, I'm going to put a big graphic that just flashes in front of the screen saying ATP, not energy. Big flashy letters. All right. I'm not going to remember. It's not going to happen. All right. Then again, I'm probably not going to edit these videos. Now, ATP is the energy currency. So it is adenosine plus ribose. Adenosine is adenine plus ribose, adenosine, and 3-phosphate groups. So adenosine triphosphate, adenine, ribose, 3 phosphates, adenosine triphosphate. So these high energy bonds between these phosphates. This is why we have ATP as our universal cellular energy currency. So ATP is hydrolyzed. That produces ADP, adenosine diphosphate, and an inorganic phosphate, and our energy that is released. So the energy that is released to do work. It doesn't matter in a bomb calorimeter how much energy it really is, or how much heat is released. It only matters what work you get done. So what work needs to get done depends entirely on the enzyme that uses up this ATP. But where is this ATP coming from? Once again, 3 rules. First rule of mitochondria, make ATP. Second rule of mitochondria, make more ATP. Third rule of mitochondria, make more mitochondria to make more ATP. Here's our mitochondria making ATP. Mitochondria is a tool. It takes fuel resources like glucose, fatty acids, amino acids, and it converts them into ATP. Now, glycolysis occurs before you even get to the mitochondria. Glucose is broken into pyruvate, and you get 2 ATP. You can form acetyl-CoA, acetyl coenzyme A, inside mitochondria. Then you have the citric acid cycle. During the citric acid cycle, you'll get 2 ATPs out of that, but that's not where your main energy resource is coming out of. That's not where you're getting most of the energy to convert to ATP. The energy is coming from oxidative electron transport chain and oxidative phosphorylation. That is electron transport chain and chemiosmosis, excuse me. That's where you're going to get 32 ATPs produced per glucose. So this is the main bang for your buck. The electron transport chain. That is an A-level topic, but this is as much as you need to know for AS level. In fact, that's probably more than you need to know for A level. It might get you another also valid point. This is, once again, probably more than you need to know for photosynthesis, but it's the basics. We have light. Light strikes the chlorophyll pigment held within the thylakoid membrane, which is in this stack of this grana stack, and that will provide the necessary light and heat energy to convert water into oxygen and hydrogen ions. Those hydrogen ions will replenish NADP plus to NADPH, and it will provide the necessary light energy to return ADP and inorganic phosphate to ATP, which will replenish our Calvin cycle. Carbon dioxide in our Calvin cycle is going to be taken, and we're going to produce sugars like glucose from our carbon dioxide by expending ATP and NADPH. All this is going to occur in the chloroplasts. So that's the extent to which you need to know photosynthesis for the purposes of AS level. A level is an entirely different story. There are chapters on this. Now, structure and function. This is an important topic. Excuse me. I need to basically tell you that all of the cells that I have shown you so far are idealized cells. They are heavily photoshopped. They are not the way a cell should look. They are the types of cells that give young cells bad body image. No organelle would ever be that size. So, real cells have different shapes. They come in all shapes, all sizes, all functions. They all have different jobs. You've got columnar epithelial cells that line your stomach. You've got cuboidal epithelial cells in your kidney tubules. You've got smooth muscle, striated muscle, cardiac muscle. You've got connective tissue. You've got blood. You've got bone. You've got all these different tissue types, and each tissue type has a different function. And each of these different phenotypes, the physical shape and size and appearance of these cells, is somehow, some way, conducive to its function. A cell does not look the way it does unless it has some function that makes it look that way. A plasma cell will not look like a plasma cell. It will not have multiple nucleoli if it were not producing lots and lots of ribosomes. It would not have lots and lots of rough endoplasmic reticulum if it were not producing tons of antibodies. So you can look at a cell and you can say, that cell has a lot of this organelle, that organelle has that function, that means that cell will do this job. You can make those connections based on those shapes. So we're going to continue that line of thought in future units. This is a teaser of things to come. Now let's talk about a new member of our cellular family, bacteria. They're really more of a distant cousin. And when I say cousin, I mean real distant cousin. Like long-lost cousin that comes out of the woodwork when you win the lottery, distant cousin. Now, Prokaryotes, they are before the karyote, before the nut. So they do not have a true nucleus. They share certain features. So, as usual, this is from the Greek. Pro means before, and karyote means the nut. So the nut is referring to the nucleus. So these are the typical prokaryote features. And when I say a typical prokaryote, I'm going to laugh at that concept, because there's no such thing as a typical prokaryote. Because there are more different kinds of prokaryotes than there are different kinds of anything else. In fact, most of the biomass on this planet is bacteria. There is more bacteria in your body by numbers than there is you in your body by numbers. So you are more bacterial cell than you are human cell. By mass, however, that ratio shifts. Now, here's the deal. Typical prokaryotes, they can come in different shapes and sizes, but in terms of what organelles are there, all prokaryotes will have the following organelles. They will have cytoplasm, they will have ribosomes, they will have a plasmamembrane, and they will have DNA. That's it. That's the only thing that they will have for darn sure. That's all that they are definitely going to have. Everything else that they're going to have, they may or may not have. Everything else is optional. Basically, like buying a car, you're definitely going to want to have wheels, a steering wheel, probably an engine, and yeah, a gas tank would be nice, right? Doors, optional. Windows, optional. Then we can start talking about power windows.